I see this guy who I think is really good looking. We talk, he's really interesting. He's saying all his favorite movies, his favorite bands, and they're all my favorites. And when he does this, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite band too. And oh, I love that movie too, that's amazing. And the more I do that, the more I see his face falling.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, what's going on here? I'm trying to connect with him, and more I feel he's distancing himself from me, and I'm really not enjoying this date by the end.
Rich, what was your impression of that date?
I had a very different impression. I was 37.
Okay.
I'd never been married, so I was going on all these dates through New York Press Personals. And back then, you didn't see someone until you met them.
Right.
I met her. I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was really interesting, really smart. And what really blew me away is we just had every little detail of interest in common. And my reaction to this amazing thing was, it just I was like a deer in the headlights.
So you were mesmerized.
I was mesmerized.
She thought you were not interested.
Exactly.
Okay, so you both go your separate ways, and the date was a bust.
He called.
Oh, he called you,
And when he called me, I had already decided somebody who makes me feel this insecure on a first date is not getting a
Okay,
second
so
date.
it was done, move on.
Except
Oh, boy.
he asked me out, and I said, I'm sorry, but the last 2 days I've just decided to get back together with my husband.
Oh.
So I lied. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so that's all I could come up with.
Okay.
That's what I said.
So you lied to him to get away from him.
Yes.
24 years later, how did you reconnect?
At that point, I was really separated from my husband. I didn't get, I started dating a little bit, just a little bit. I went on Bumble. I saw this great profile. I really want to meet this
So I
guy.
love that it's modern now. So you started out in the black and white paper.
Yeah, no
now,
picture.
24 years later, we're on the internet.
Now
okay,
I
this
see
is amazing.
him. We're writing back and forth to each other. I meet him, and I'm all excited. And then it just fell flat. Like we had a conversation, it was fine, but I felt he was trying a little too hard. I wasn't feeling any chemistry.
This was this guy here.
Yeah.
Yes, and I just felt like, well, I liked him online, but in person, and I felt like at my age, I don't have that much time to keep seeing somebody. I don't feel that way.
Did you not look at him and recognize him from 24 years ago?
No.
I mean, I saw very similar than before. Did the name ring a bell?
No, I couldn't
How many
remember.
dates had you gone on that you would forget this man?
Quite honestly, like 3, but it was 1 hour 24 years ago. I just did not remember him.
Rich, did you recognize Connie?
Not at all.
What?
I remember
What year was this again?
1993.
What were y'all on in the 90s? You don't remember? Wild times back then. So you didn't remember the names didn't ring a bell?
No.
How did you realize that you were the two people who 24 years prior went on this hapless, hopeless date?
It was very funny. We had the second date. I thought, if it doesn't blow me away, I'm not going to see him again. I'm not going to keep doing this. And I started getting a little, bored. We had a good conversation, but I wasn't that into it. And I just almost, I said the stock question, have you done a lot of internet dating? Yeah. And he said, yes, actually. I since my divorce, yes. And I met my ex-wife through a personals ad a while ago in the New York Press, which you may not have heard of. And I said, never heard of it. Actually, I went on the worst date of my life. Right to that paper. And I start describing the date and how weird the guy was.
So she's describing the date, and at some point, does a light bulb go off? And you're like...
Little by little, it was sounding very familiar to me.
And did you think, is she talking about... Wait, because I started talking to myself in my head when these things happen. So we were like, Rich, is she talking about you? She talked about me.
Yeah.
Did you say, who made the big announcement that...
He said, he got really quiet, and then he said, I think that may have been me. And I said, no way. I went on one New York Press date. I've hardly dated anybody. It's definitely, in all of New York City, it is not you. No way.
And how did you verify, since no one remembers, how did you confirm that it...
Well, I went home and I had saved on my computer images of all the ads that I'd placed. I sent it to her. And she recognized it immediately.
Yes, there was a detail in the ad. It said, if you love The Singing Detective, that was an unusual show at the time.
Right.
And I'd forgotten that, but then when I saw it, that Singing Detective, I said, that's it, that's the guy.